Good morning, early game crew. Happy Wednesday, and happy first official day of the college football playoff rankings. We're at that point of the season. Oh, yeah, and the men's basketball team last night got a win. And dare I say it, they're fun. They look really good. We'll get into that later. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Preston Thorne. She's Jen Jensen. And we're talking all types of football and hoops today. Gamecock football, college football, but I wanted to start off with the college football playoff rankings because now we're getting into the time of the season where people like to argue. And I just want to say I'm not here to argue, but I am here to tell the committee when they're wrong. When they're maybe a little off base.
I like it.
And you know what? I didn't hate it. I disagreed with a few things, but I didn't completely hate it.
Is this one of those a broken clock is right twice a day sort of situations?
I still think they use certain metrics as a crutch and not as a sorting tool.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I feel like the college football playoff committee specifically will use certain metrics as a crutch. What I like to do, and in a perfect world, we sort this thing out like they do in basketball, where your main metrics like net or RPI or whatever are sorting tools, not crutches. Saying, okay, well, let's just rank these things based on RPI or based on net. They don't do that. You can be a top 15 team in net in college basketball and still end up being a 7 seed because it's a sorting tool, right? It's supposed to be your qualifier for really good wins or bad losses. And that's what, in the perfect world, I want us to do with college football. So I realized yesterday that I cannot rightfully complain if I don't have my own solution. So, if you see this discombobbled mess,
he's drawn an Excel table on his notepad
where I
columns
pretty much wrote
rows.
down rows, columns, a lot of numbers of every team that I thought was in legitimate contention that I have not at least personally eliminated from playoff contention in the college football playoff. And I wrote down a few things that I think really matter, including the sorting tool stuff, right? Like I have a lot of FPI things, but I'm not using the FPI as a crutch. Like right now, FPI goes Ohio State 1, Indiana 2, Oregon 3, Alabama 4, and then you get to number 9 until you find Texas A&M. Don't care about that. Don't care. But I do use it as a tool, as in the top 30 teams in FPI, I will use as quality wins. If you beat a team in the top 30 in FPI, FPI should be accurate enough to give me a picture of that as a quality win. So I wrote down all these teams' wins inside the FPI top 30. If they had any losses outside of the FPI top 30. And then I did things like strength of record, game control, offensive SP+, defensive SP+, and I formulated my own. But here's what it reads right now. Here's what the college football playoff rankings are. Ohio State at number 1, Indiana 2, A&M 3, Alabama 4, Georgia 5, Ole Miss 6, BYU 7, Texas Tech 8, Oregon 9, Notre Dame 10, Texas 11, Oklahoma 12. Then followed out by Utah, Virginia, Louisville, Vanderbilt, Georgia Tech, Miami, Southern Cal, Iowa, Michigan, and Missouri. But what the playoff bracket would look like is, because again, if you're in the top 12, does not guarantee you're in because there's still a group of 5 spot. And there is a spot for the 4 Power 4 conference champions. Notice in those top 12, I did not mention an ACC team. If we're projecting the bracket today, that would be Virginia, because Virginia is the highest ranked ACC squad. So that would eliminate Texas from the college football playoff, let Notre Dame in. So I guess if you're looking at the bracket, your 4 byes would be Indiana, or Ohio State, Indiana, A&M, and Alabama. Georgia would be playing what they would say is Memphis. They have Memphis as the highest ranked group of 5 school. You would then have Ole Miss playing Virginia in the first round of the college football playoff. You would then have BYU hosting Notre Dame. Hilarious. And then at 8 and 9, you'd have Texas Tech hosting Oregon. And those would be your first round playoff matchups. Here's how I did it. Now, Preston Thorne, I'll read you off my bracket. You tell me which one you'd rather see. My top four, the same top four that they do, but I swapped some things around. I have Indiana number one. I think Indiana has the better resume than Ohio State. I then have Ohio State at 2, Texas A&M 3, Alabama number 4. I, too, like the committee, have Georgia at 5. I, too, have Ole Miss at 6, also playing Virginia. But instead of Memphis, I have South Florida. Yes, I know Memphis beat South Florida, but I have looked at the schedules. I think South Florida is the one who ends up actually playing in that title game and winning it. So that's more projection on my part. And then in the 7-10, I have BYU at 7, like they do, but I have Texas at 10 instead of Notre Dame.
Okay.
So if I'm choosing this thing and I'm looking at resumes, I am picking Texas instead of Notre Dame for that last playoff spot. And then my 8-9 game is the exact same as theirs, except reversed, which matters because the 8 seed would host the 9 seed. They have Texas Tech hosting Oregon. I have Oregon hosting Texas Tech. So not dramatically different, but a couple of changes. So based on that kind of thought process alone, Preston, I don't necessarily hate the matchups and the rankings.
Yeah, well, it wasn't as far off as you thought it was going to be, based on what we know the CFP committee does when they make decisions. So, yeah, this all makes sense. And as you look at it, things are going to continuously change. But my bigger question is, not does it matter, but why does the first poll matter?
Because it sets a precedent.
Mm-hmm.
It sets a precedent early. And here's why it can be tricky and why you can really upset some folks. Notre Dame at 10 is what's interesting because if you look at Notre Dame's remaining schedule, they should win out. Realistically, they should win the rest of their games. And for a lot of them, I think you could say Notre Dame should win the rest of their games pretty comfortably. They have Navy at home this week, which don't play, but you should win that game. You're at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, frisky. You should still beat Pittsburgh, though, if we're being serious. And then Syracuse at home should kill them. And then at Stanford should absolutely torch them. And then you look at their record, which would be 10-2 if they're to win out. They will end the season with one game against the team in a top 30 in FPI, and that'll be Southern Cal. Now, granted, Southern Cal is number 10 in FPI. Texas already has multiple wins in the top 30 in FPI. But here's who Texas has a chance to play. They go on the road to Georgia, and then they host Texas A&M, 2 teams in the top 10 in FPI. Texas A&M, who is, by the committee's metric, number 3. Georgia, number 5. 2 wins against top 5 teams in your college football playoff ranking, I think should weigh a whole lot. Stuart Mandel said yesterday, or tweeted from The Athletic, that Notre Dame, if they win out, should be in. I don't agree. But Notre Dame fans, and followers of the sport, will expect them to be now.
They'll be in.
Because they're going to say, don't punish us for losing. If it comes down to Texas and Notre Dame and both teams win out, keeping Texas out of the playoff as opposed to Notre Dame would be a crime.
Well, it's important to note that this is an invitational. It's not a playoff, and I think that's a very clear distinction to make because a playoff would indicate that you play your way in, you earn your way on the field.
By standings.
By standings. This is an invitational. That being said, there is no world that exists where if Notre Dame is on the borderline that they do not get in. That world, they will, if they play themselves to the line, tie goes to Notre Dame.
Which would be, if that scenario that I laid out happens and Texas is left out for Notre Dame, a lot of people should be sick to their stomach. Now, here's the thing. I don't think that scenario completely comes true where you have to pick one or the other because some people are going to lose and play their way out. Ole Miss could play their way out, right? Georgia with a loss to Texas, and if they lose, let's just say Georgia Tech gets them. Not out of the realm of possibility. Do we remember what happened when those 2 teams played last year? Mm-hmm. They would then play their way out, right? Texas Tech can play their way out. BYU can play their way out. Now, if things get a little tricky in that Big 12 title game, but Texas Tech and BYU play this weekend. And I think that might be a preview of the Big 12 title game. Or one team wins that game, Let's just say that one is Texas Tech because BYU's still undefeated. That's BYU's only loss. BYU has a good-looking resume, right? If you look at things like FPI top 30 wins, I don't care about some of the other metrics, but I care about who you beat. BYU does have a home win against the number 7 team in FPI, which is Utah. And Utah is pretty, people forget about Utah. Their only losses are 2 teams that are in the top 10 in FPI.
You know, I'm hearing all this conversation, and I have to admit, Elijah, this conversation was a lot more fun last year.
When someone, a special someone was in the conversation.
This is great. I was on board last year. This conversation was way more fun last year when we was like, ooh, could it be? Maybe? Possibly?
I regret to inform you South Carolina was not in the top 25 last night. In case you were wondering.
Shocker.
In case you were wondering. And you're like, Elijah, I didn't hear South Carolina. Are you sure?
You saying just a mere 12 months ago when we were having the same conversation and we were like, oh, we're there. You saying we're not having that same conversation this year?
Now, if by there you mean bowl game, then it's closer. Still need a miracle to pull that off. But no, we're not. We're not there.
This conversation this year is extremely abstract. Last year was concrete. It was like, ooh, I got all the things posted up. If this happens, if then this, X, Y, Z. This year is more of an exercise in dreaming. It's definitely not the same conversation.
Exercise in dreaming. I like that.
Definitely not the same conversation that we were having last year. But all these SEC teams are there. And I guess with the Texas A&M conversation, do we have a chance to play spoiler?
Oh, yes. Nothing would derail
this whole conversation. Does that change? That could change some things?
Nothing would derail quite like giving Texas A&M a loss outside of the FPI top 30. Because right next, I do believe the committee uses things like FPI, and South Carolina's 39. Despite all the wins A&M has, which A&M has 3 wins inside the FPI top 30, 2 of them on the road. That's good. Committee will look at that and say, okay, that's really good. That's one of the reasons why I like their resume better than Alabama. Alabama has 1 more FPI top 30 win than they do, but they have a loss, right? Florida State game, long time ago. Alabama's a much different team, but you know what? It still counts. I know the game was played in August. They count too. So I basically negate loss from a win, and then the fact that they have a bunch of a lot of those on the road sticks out really well to me. But you could really play spoiler. You can make Texas A&M sweat it out because A&M still has a few really tough games, right? Not a few. They have 1, right? Because South Carolina at home, Samford at home. I don't think Cortland Finnegan's eligible to play. And then they're at Texas to end the season. And the at Texas is interesting. I think that's when it gets really interesting. I don't think a loss would eliminate them. I think even if like the tiebreaker stuff, which is really weird in the SEC, who knows how that ends up shaking up. A&M loses to Texas at the end of the year. Somehow isn't playing in the SEC championship game. They're in. They're automatically in. Really, if they take care of business against South Carolina and Samford, they're in. That's all they're going to have to do to make their first ever college football playoff appearance.
Does BYU and Texas Tech will they have a chance to play in the championship game?
That's a really good question. A lot of things have to shake out because if we're just looking at just pure standings, the Big 12 is a total mess. If I'm just pulling it up right now,
the Big 12 is a total mess because
everybody's pretty good. Like Utah's pretty good. BYU, by like a lot of metrics, playing really well, and they're undefeated. That's a good metric. But Texas Tech is playing really well. But there's 3 teams with no or 1 loss in conference play, and then Utah, Houston, Arizona State, and TCU all have 2 are kind of on the outside looking in. So things can get weird there. But there's a really good chance we do see BYU and Texas Tech playing in the Big 12 title game, which, again, could make things interesting. We had a really interesting call at the end of the show yesterday. We'll address that and answer it coming up next. We can debate resumes for college football playoff, and so much about college football is debating stuff. We could do that all day. But one thing that is not left up for debate, that is who the leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry is. The proven leader, and has been for 3 decades. That would be my friends over at Midstate Roofing, where for those 3 decades, they've been providing the proper advice, service, and most importantly, the results to the very specific needs of your facility. And they do it in a manner both safe and pleasing to your operation. Midstate Roofing does all kinds of things, but one of my favorite things that they do is have incredible availability, because sometimes when you have a roofing and waterproofing need, it can be pretty urgent, and those needs can't really wait for business hours to come back. They do have someone on call that you can call for those urgent needs. 803-356-1919 is the number to call, where they're available anytime, or you can always go online at midstateroofing.com. If you have a leak, let Midstate Roofing take a peek.
I-26 westbound at I-126, the right lane is blocked at this time, so be cautious there. I-26 westbound at I-126. And we're going to be in the mid-70s for the rest of this week through the weekend before the bottom kind of falls out, because the next Monday we're looking at a high of only 53. So let's soak in the sun while we can. 75 today, 73 tomorrow. Morning high or overnight low is going to be about 48, 47. But then as we get into the weekend, they'll be more into the 50s. But it gets colder, like we said, next week. And the overnight lows actually could be in the 30s in the early part of next week. So again, enjoy this weather while we can. It's 40 currently.
we got a really good question yesterday at the tail end of the show. We didn't have time to address it, but I wanted to hit on it here in this first hour of the show because I think it can relate to South Carolina. We had a caller call in and mention Georgia Tech, Indiana, and Vanderbilt, right? Vanderbilt, Georgia Tech outside the top 12 in the college football playoff rankings, but going into last week, they would have been inside the top 15. Georgia Tech was undefeated until NC State beat them in Raleigh last Saturday night.
Dave Doran and them boys.
Dave Doran did the Dave Doran thing, which is, all right, we have a game today. How are we going to play, Dave Doran, coach team? Magic 8-ball shake. Upset a top 10 team. Next week, play East Carolina on the road. They really don't. This is just a hypothetical. Shake it up again. Lose to said group of 5 team. Like, that's the type of program Dave Doran has over there at NC State, but they'll get you. They'll get you sometimes, maybe.
Every now and then.
Every now and then, when they feel up for it, they'll play football. But Georgia Tech and Vanderbilt had only a loss at Alabama on the resume until they went to Texas and got beat and kind of revived Texas' season a little bit. But those are 3 programs, not historically. I mean, Georgia Tech did win, I guess, a share of a national title in 1990. But really, in modern college football, BCS era onward, we don't look at those programs, Indiana, Vanderbilt, Georgia Tech, as teams that belong in these type of conversations. But they've gotten themselves in these conversations. So the question was, how come they can do it and South Carolina with this year's team can't?
Okay, so it's a great question, but I think it's a little bit of a premise because we haven't seen them repeatedly do it yet.
Right? Because last year they did it.
South Carolina did it.
Yes.
Right? So we don't know moving forward if these teams will repeatedly do it. And that's not me copping pleas for South Carolina. I'm just saying we did it. Because I just finished saying, like, man, that CFP conversation was a lot of fun last year when we were in it. This year, it's all for them. But last year was all for us. So I just want to make sure we're clear on that because we were in that conversation. We are clearly not in that conversation. No. And it's yet to be determined if these teams will be in this conversation moving forward. But they are here now, and I think there are some clear reasons why they are here.
Yes, I have a couple written down. And I want to know, because you have some things written down too, I wonder if we have any crossover.
Okay.
Here. So I tried to find what the common denominator between these 3 schools are, right? And what's going on for this year. Number 1, they nailed their portal evaluations.
Okay.
They really didn't whiff on many. And if they did, it didn't matter. Because if you think about the quarterbacks for all 3 of these teams,
boom,
they did not start off at that school.
I got that written down. Yes, we are in agreement with that. Now, obviously, we at South Carolina, we were fortunate enough to have an NFL talent developed and grown right here in our state that we were able to get. But I would argue that based on all evidence that we've seen this far, we have not nailed our next portal evaluation because he's not even the backup quarterback.
Yes, exactly. Right.
And I'm talking about Aaron Nolan. So let's make sure we're being very clear on we're not throwing things out into the ether. It feels as if we have not nailed that evaluation because if we did, he would at least be the backup quarterback.
Yes, he would. His only snaps this year would not have been because there have been some garbage time snaps. Not a ton, but if you're looking at the divvying of garbage time snaps, Cutter Woods got to throw the ball against Oklahoma. Aaron Nolan handed the ball off like 2 or 3 times against South Carolina State. That's the difference so far between those 2 guys. And I would say the one who is trusted to throw the ball in the last drive of a game against Oklahoma is the one they probably perceive as being the better of the 2. Just kind of a observation.
Yeah, and also our starting quarterback got hurt, and we did not play our portal evaluation.
That's right.
The one from the portal.
Luke Doty played in the second half. And it's not because we can't use the excuse that Aaron Nolan is preserving a red shirt last year at Ohio State. So can't use that. This is a year he actually has to use. But to go further on the quarterback evaluation in the transfer portal, because when you get these guys that are already a little bit older, a little bit more seasoned, it helps you get better faster. 2 of the 3, Vanderbilt and Georgia Tech with Diego Pavia and Haynes King, it's their second year, at least second year, as the quarterback. I think Haynes King, this is his 3rd at Georgia Tech. They're transfer portal guys, but they're transfer portal guys with continuity. Remember a couple of years ago, long time ago in 2023, when almost the entire Heisman finalist was made up of transfer quarterbacks in year 2 at their school? Michael Penix, was year 2 at Washington, transferred from Indiana. Jaden Daniels, it was his second year at LSU, transferred from Arizona State. Bo Nix, it was his second year at Oregon, transferred from Auburn. There was a theme there of transferring and then staying that year to further your development at that school. I think that also holds true with these two teams. Now, Fernando Mendoza came from Cal. He was at Cal last year, so he doesn't necessarily fit that mold. However, they absolutely nailed that evaluation, and they made him go from a good quarterback to a really good quarterback. Mm-hmm. There's a good chance Fernando Mendoza is the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft. I've had myself imagining when I watch Indiana play football, picturing in my head Fernando Mendoza in a Saints jersey. I've just been picturing it a little bit to see if I like it, right? Getting used to the thought that he might be suiting up for my favorite NFL team. Another thing they do well, they run the ball exceptionally well. All those 3 teams in the top 30 in rushing yards. 2 of them with predominantly running quarterbacks with Pavia and Haynes King.
So that's 2 very distinct things. Predominantly running quarterbacks, also predominantly college offenses.
Yes.
Right? Indiana is the most prototypical offense or whatever that means. But Georgia Tech and Vandy are specifically college-based offenses built around the strengths of those portal evaluations that they had come in. Those are not they're not balanced. They're not pro. They're not any of those things. They are college-style offenses that work because guess where they're playing? In college.
And it works for them. And that it's going with a trend, right? Good artists borrow, great artists steal. What are things that everybody in college football is doing more of this year? Quarterback runs, the +1s. They do it exceptionally well, Vanderbilt and Georgia Tech, and it's helping them out a ton. Also, they're old. These are older teams. A lot of these guys have played a lot of college football. At the offensive line position, a lot of old dudes at Georgia Tech, a lot of dudes returning. Vanderbilt had the highest percentage of players returning this year than any team in college football. That continuity mattered.
So they're not dipping in and out of the portal as much as maybe some of these other. Are we seeing some type of I'm not sure the word, but a similarity in the teams that aren't doing as well seem to have more fluctuation and more
because they're not getting
portal?
Rentals.
Exactly.
They're not as rentals.
You're saying consistency.
They're staying because a lot of Vanderbilt's players are transfers because after that 2-10 season, they overhauled. They had the most change of anybody, but they went from 7 wins last year to potentially 10 this year. I'd say 9 probably at the minimum for them.
So what is it that is letting them keep these people? Why? How are they keeping them and not getting them to go in and out of the transfer portal?
Ooh, that's a really good question. How are they able to keep these players and not have them bounce and get that retention? I have an answer to that, and I have a theory.
Of course you do.
And we'll get to that on the other side here on the early game.
Still a bit of a slowdown on I-26 westbound right there at I-126. Aside from that, though, all else moving along pretty well this morning. 75 for the high, kind of breezy today. 73 tomorrow, 74 on Friday. We really stay in the mid-70s through Sunday. And then Monday, it's like we hit a wall because by Monday it'll be 53 with an overnight low of 30. So kind of start looking around for those heavier jackets. You're going to need them next week. Right now, it's 40 on the early game.
Jen posed a really good question at the end of that last segment while we're breaking down what makes Georgia Tech, Vanderbilt, Indiana, those three teams relevant in the college football playoff picture in 2025, which, again, no matter how many times I say it, no how many times I look at standings and rankings and results, it will never feel natural to actually say it or see it. But they're doing it. But Jen posed a question about how they're able to retain a lot of their good portal finds. We established earlier in the last segment, too, that a lot of these teams don't just have transfer portal quarterbacks, but they retain them for an extra year, at least. This is year 2 for Pavia at Vanderbilt. I think this is year 3 for Haynes King at Georgia Tech. Fernando Mendoza at Indiana, an exception. This is his first year at Indiana, and it's worked right away. But Jen asked, how are they able to retain a lot of them? Because it's not just the quarterbacks, too, right? Guys like Elijah Surratt, the receiver at Indiana, is a top 3-round NFL talent at the position. They have a lot of dudes on defense at Indiana that came over with Kurt Signetti from James Madison, who have been dudes on defense, right? Georgia Tech's got a few guys that transferred in that are in their second year. Guys like Eli Stowers at Vanderbilt. This is his second year as a transfer player at Vanderbilt from New Mexico State. I think the big reason they are able to retain a lot of the players that they do is the proof of concept. And they have proven not just the concept works, it works for you. They recruit guys for fit, maybe not overall talent, athleticism. For example, one guy who has lived in the transfer portal his entire college football career is Oregon defensive lineman Bear Alexander.
Yeah, great name.
Incredible name for a defensive lineman, right?
Has not lived up to it.
Bear down.
Which is whenever I want to see him bat down a pass at the line of scrimmage so I can hear an announcer say, Bear really got a paw on that pass. Nice. I'm waiting for that. Yeah, waiting for it.
He hasn't bared down anywhere.
He has not. No. And I think a lot of teams fall in love with the physical traits that he has and try to put him in places where maybe he's not the most successful. They don't have something for him schematically geared for him. What Georgia Tech does for Haynes King, geared specifically for Haynes King. What Vanderbilt does with Diego Pavia and Eli Stowers, built specifically for those skill sets. And those guys fit that style of play perfectly. And I think for a lot of these players, there's enough self-awareness to know I shouldn't go anywhere else because they have me in a position where I can really succeed. The system is geared towards me. I'm a perfect fit here. That's my theory as to why maybe they retain a lot of that talent.
So is Carolina trying to put square pegs in a round hole?
Maybe for some players. Now, for some players for Carolina this year, I think we can agree it worked. Justin Okoronkwo, really good run stopper, incredible athlete. I think that's exactly the type of player that Clayton White wants as his linebacker. And that fits. And that's why if I'm J.O., yeah, this year hasn't gone very well. You got more years of eligibility. I think your defensive coordinator here has you in a position where you can make really good plays and put up really good numbers, right? Maybe there are some other players at different positions that just don't translate well with what you want to do. I think that's probably the crux of most portal misevaluations especially in college basketball, it's a plague of misevaluating players in the portal and doing what you want to do.
So are our coaches their designs maybe aren't as malleable as far as to accommodate the players that we have?
It could be that in some cases, or I think they just misevaluated players.
Just completely miss. Okay.
I think like on the offensive line, you just misevaluated.
Yeah, because there's 2 points I want to bring up. That idea that, yes, Georgia Tech is playing with old dudes in portal evaluation, but we have 3 old dudes on the interior line who have not lived up to any standard of evaluation. So those were either failed evaluations or failed development. Also, going back to what Jen said about the square peg and a round hole, yeah, that's exactly what Mike Shula was trying to do with Lenora Sellers. He was trying to make a pro quarterback out of somebody who's not yet to the pros. Hayes King does not play pro-style offense. Diego Pavia does not play pro-style offense. And those OCs are not trying to make them into that. And then maybe, and I think now that we're on the other side of the Mike Shula era, short-lived, rest in peace.
For a good time, not a long
those 3
time.
deep balls were amazing. I don't think he was trying to make Lenoris into a pro-style quarterback. He was trying to make him into a quarterback that he knew how to coach. Mike Shula did not know how to coach a college quarterback. He only knew how to coach a pro-style quarterback. So you try and make him into the thing that you're comfortable with instead of being comfortable with what he already does. Now, obviously, that's on Shane to have being able to see that. But, yeah, he was trying to – it wasn't – he was pitching it as it was a favor for Lenoris, but it wasn't for Lenoris. It was for Mike to be able to coach the way he knows how to coach, because he does not know how to coach college quarterbacks. Because his resume, and it's not his fault, his resume doesn't say that.
Oh, well, if you think about it, the last college quarterback that Mike Shula coached was Brody Croyle at Alabama.
Great swoop.
Oh,
that's the only thing that I remember about the ultimate Alabama swoop.
Yes.
Go ahead and look it up, Jay. Brody Call, get on it. You can check it out. He's the I think he's the prototype.
It's Bieber cut before Justin Bieber was. I think
he's the prototype. Yes, I think that's the thing. Yes. And I just came to this realization that, yeah, he was trying to make him into the quarterback that he knew how to coach, not for Lenoris' sake, but for his sake, because that's what he felt comfortable coaching. These other guys feel comfortable coaching what they are. And it happens to mix.
Yeah, and that adaptability, which, of course, in college football today, with how much things have changed, will change, it's an unpredictable landscape. Adaptability with how you build your roster is going to be vital in terms of keeping yourself relevant, right? And I will say, to the credit of Clark Lee and Brent Key and Kurt Signetti, they have done an incredible job of doing that and adapting to it.
I have to add on to this because as you were bringing it, I had to write it down. I had to check and see. Adds to the disappointment of the season because you mentioned that all those other quarterbacks were in their second years.
Yep.
This is the second time that Shane and crew have failed in having a quarterback in his second year. We went 5-7 when Spencer Rattler was in his second year. We had we had an NFL quarterback coming back.
Yeah.
Failed. Now we have a generational talent, first-round talent coming back. Failure. How many times we gonna let that happen? They did. Yeah. They
and
capitalized.
How many more of these are we going to get here
exactly.
if we're seeing this?
They capitalized on their opportunity, and this is the second time that we have not.
We'll go to the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. Scott is on the line. Want to weigh in on the conversation. Scott, good morning. Welcome to the early game.
Good morning, fellas. You know, it's an interesting question that you brought up, but there's a few things there dynamically. Obviously, we've learned from the Wake Forest of the world, your veteran teams with a special quarterback. I've seen them have that 10-win season and be. They would have been considered for that playoff. You know, maybe a couple of Duke teams that had veteran teams or whatever that would have done that. But obviously, the relevance is that 10 teams. You know, you get in that top 10, you got an opportunity to play in the playoffs, which is something we haven't had in the past. So now South Carolina last year was relevant to possibly get in that playoff. We're looking at Vandy and Indiana and these teams as opportunities to play in that playoff. But at the end of the day, I think there has been a few teams that had veteran players and a special leader at quarterback. Wake Forest comes to mind the most out of that have had that. But like Indiana, to me, for team this year, because I think they do have some veteran players, and then I also think they've got a special quarterback, a special linebacker that lead both sides of the field, which has made them very, very different this year than we've ever seen. But the reality is 10-11 wins football teams in the past have been irrelevant because they didn't have a chance in that top four or in the BCS era. So I think that's what's bringing more relevance to these teams, and you're looking at them and people know they've got a shot, and maybe those teams are playing up to get an opportunity there opposed to just playing in a big bowl game or what have you. So, I mean, it is different.
We're up against a break, Scott. So we got to head out real quick. We'll address some of what you said because there's a lot of good points there, and we'll discuss some blockbuster NFL trades next. Really good call there from Scott. Hate to have to cut him off, but that's the name of the game. We got rules around here.
Yeah,
we have outs.
We get cut off all the time. Like, we got to go to break.
Got to go to break.
Jen gets in our ear and said, "You got to break. Stop talking."
Yeah, I'm kind of the bad person. I'm the bad guy, bad cop.
I think Jen has got like a shot collar back there. She's prepared to put on me if I go past the out time.
I still have the little Nerf gun in here, so I'll just go. Ping.
Yeah, my health is in danger if we do not get out at the right time. So,
but I think it's an interesting conversation that we probably should come back to, especially as these teams continue to progress through the CFP.
And one thing Scott mentioned that I did want to at least address, because I think that is a really big part in all of this, the expansion of the college football playoff is going to allow this, right? Because he mentioned Wake Forest having a couple teams that were 9, 10-win teams.
And that was why that was such a great call, because he mentioned Wake Forest. They had a veteran quarterback, but you know what they also had? A distinct offensive system. The claw fence. The claw fence. The slow roll. And everybody hated playing them because it was just this weird, unorthodox thing that only they did. The claw fence. Exactly.
Oh, and I loved that. Oh, man.
So, yeah, great call, Scott.
Yeah, and because there are some years, I can't remember what years they would have been. I think 2007 might have been one of those where they were really good. Or 2008, where if we had a 12-team college football playoff, yeah, Wake Forest would have been in, right? Like there are so many years where these programs would have been in a college football playoff, and that elevates your profile so much higher than being really good and missing out on the BCS title game or, a 4-team college football playoff. That clearly has a lot to do with it as well. Before we get out, there was some news yesterday. So we're going to talk a lot of NFL today. Adam Schefter was a busy man. And the New York Jets, cleaning house. Sauce Gardner, firmly believed to be one of the best cover corners in the NFL. A guy who is the best player on a college football team that took Cincinnati to the college football playoff, a 4-team college football playoff. He's been traded to the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are doing it. But my question to you, Preston Thorne, does Sauce Gardner going to the Indianapolis Colts and fulfilling a need make them a legitimate contender to play in a Super Bowl?
Well, I think they were already a legitimate contender. It legitimizes, it makes me know that they think they are a legitimate contender. They're not living in like, is this real? They look around and they say, hey, we have an opportunity. And I think franchises need to do this more often because we talk about windows closing. You never know when the window is going to be here. Indianapolis did not, okay, maybe they said it, but in their heart of hearts, they did not think that this was. They did not think they were going to be here.
There's no way. There's no way they would have actually believed.
There's nobody that would have said that. That being said, now that you're here, and you know that you may never get here again,
go for it.
Go for it. You got a running back who we know the career span is fragile. Mm-hmm. You got a running back at his prime. You got a quarterback who's coming off the trash heap that you've upcycled, right? You've upcycled this quarterback, and now he's does some things for you. Yeah, let's go. I applaud this move, and I would advise any front office, both college and pro, that when you have a window, you better go for it.
That's right, because there ain't no such thing as
tomorrow.
Nope.
Halfway crooks.
Yes,
that's right.
You can't do it halfway, and there's no such thing as tomorrow too in the NFL. You never know because coaches get fired there too. GMs get fired there too. You have a window to win. You absolutely take it. Now, part of that, the Jets trading Quinnen Williams to the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys fresh off of an embarrassing home loss to the Arizona Cardinals on Monday Night Football to give them, or to break the Cardinals, rather, their 5-game losing streak. Losing to a last-place team in your conference. Not a good look. The Cowboys have one of the worst defenses, if not the worst defense in the NFL. Does this make it to where the Cowboys can get to the playoffs?
Well, Dak is playing well, but we already tried this, Jerry. That's the whole reason you traded Micah Parsons, because you wanted to get a run stopper. And now you're getting another one? If he was going to make a trade, and I don't think the Jets have a guy, but I would have went and got an edge guy to maybe try and replace what you had with Micah. You just went and got another, and Quinnen is good.
Quinnen is very good.
Which also shows you, hey, the Jets had 2 very valuable pieces, and they were still terrible, right? But you went and got Quinn. Okay. I don't know how much better that makes you, because that defense is not good.
it's atrocious. And that could be the thing that keeps them out of the playoffs, despite having a really good and fun offense that runs the ball, throws the ball.
Again, who would have predicted a fun Brian Schottenheimer offense? Never would have thought that.
George Pickens is like third in the league in receiving yards. Like, that offense was still good despite CeeDee Lamb being hurt and missing time.
We talk about development. The Jets, when I was going through, I was trying to look at the Jets' draft picks. They've drafted pretty well.
Yeah.
And then you just get thrown into the mix that's the Jets, and all of a sudden you become a Jet.
You're disorganized. That's what bad franchises do. But last question before we get out of here, Jets, tanking correctly? I think yes. If you're this bad with those good players, strip it down to the studs and start over.
Yeah, the only problem is you're the Jets and you have to rebuild it.
As the Jets.
As the Jets. Unless you're bringing somebody else to rebuild and do this work, I don't know how it's going to happen.
Can you make yourself not the Jets? I don't know. But there's a former Gamecock player that's making one bad franchise pretty good. We'll discuss.
Pressy here for our friends at Absolute Glass, the premier glass company of the Midlands, offering auto, home, and business glass repair. So if your glass is damaged, shattered, cracked, or broken, they can handle the job. If it's a cracked windshield, that's no problem. They'll come out to your location and they'll replace it for you, usually for free, and they'll work directly with the insurance to take away the headache. That's right. They'll come out to wherever you are, school, home, work. It does not matter. Absolute Glass will come out to you and take care of the job for you. Now, if you're looking to increase the value of your home, you can do that with Absolute Glass also. Windows, mirrors, shower enclosures. We say it all the time. If you can see through it, Ray and Marianne at Absolute Glass can do it. So check them out online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com. That's online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com.
Traffic-wise, we are seeing just a couple of incidences. Clemson Road at Hardscrabble, to be exact. There's an accident there. Also, I-26 westbound at I-126, the right lane is currently blocked. 75 today, 73 tomorrow, and we stay in the mid-70s through Sunday. And then we pump the brakes on the really nice stuff because come Monday, We have a high of 53, overnight low of 30. So we're not even going to think about that right now. We're just going to stick with the really nice weather, 75 and breezy today, currently 40 on the early game.
Hour number 2 of the early game starts right now. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Preston Thorne. She's Jen Jensen. We're talking football. Specifically, one topic I really wanted to get into. Because we talked about bad franchises in the last segment, specifically the New York Jets, which I love. I love Preston pulling up a tab to look at the Jets draft picks from the last few years, which have been good. They've drafted good players. I don't know exactly why a lot of them maybe failed, but if I do know if you go back and you remember at the time, you see them get drafted, you're like, oh, that's a good pick. I don't think there's really many picks you'd look at and say, wrong choice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking. I mean, there's the obvious one with Zach Wilson. That should not have ever happened.
That was dumb.
That was dumb. That should not have ever happened. But I'm going through Armand Nimbu. We knew he was going to be. He's playing well. Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, Mekhi Becton, Quinnen Williams, Jamal Adams. Like, they've drafted.
Correct picks.
They've done the right thing, but it just feels like once they get there, it's not. It doesn't work.
Or they can't make it work.
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
Some of those
These
players,
dudes I mean, I left out Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Who's eventually ended up getting right. So there's a lot of guys that are playing well in other places. Garrett Wilson, you might need to do that.
Yeah, poor Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
He's been awesome. Like, he's actually really good.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think that's interesting. So as a franchise, you can – okay, cool, we're cleaning house. We're going to get draft picks. We're starting over. But we're still starting over as the same people who have this thing.
And ruined all of that, right?
Yeah.
Ruined teams with a good chance to win.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, you're still the New York Jets. I think we could have put at one point in time the Carolina Panthers in that discussion. Not too long ago, they were in that discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Their best player is someone who was not the leading rusher on his team in college here at South Carolina. Rico Dowdle, legitimately the best player on that team, a top 5 rusher in the league, despite not being the starter for the first 3 weeks or so of the season. Again, an incredible story from. We talked about it a little bit at the end of the show yesterday, but I wanted to dive a little deeper into his story because it's truly one of the more remarkable ones in the NFL right now. And it's not just that, oh, a cute story, he's starting and he's, a contributor. The Panthers are only, 2 games behind the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? And I think they still get to play them twice. I don't think they haven't met the Bucs yet this season. So they can make that up just by virtue of beating them. And they're not too far outside the playoff picture in terms of a wild card. The graphic would say in the hunt, the Carolina Panthers. And based on what we saw from them just a couple short years ago, it is a dramatic difference. But if you look at that offense, it's not because Bryce Young's slinging the ball. He's shown improvement, but he's not. I still wouldn't say he's a top 15 quarterback in the league right now. And it's not just because Ted McMillan has been a really good weapon at receiver, but they run the ball as well as anybody in the NFL. And Rico Dowdle is the best one. He is legitimately the best player on that offense this year. And they have a chance to go to the playoffs despite being the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, I mean, much of the country is just discovering who Rico Dowdle is. We've known him, obviously, here, but we're just as equally surprised because it's not that he was bad here.
No.
He just was never featured, and he played in some offenses that were not – They were allergic to scoring, some of those offenses, some of those Will Muschamp offenses. They did not like to get to the end zone. They were scared of it.
Had a restraining order with the end zone.
We don't like going to the end zone. So That's the thing that you see. And then he goes into the NFL. He plays a little while with the Cowboys. He kind of bounces around on the practice squad. He gets his opportunity, becomes the guy for the Cowboys. And then this past year, he signs this contract with the Panthers. And it felt like it was like hey, man, we need to pick up somebody to run to back up Chuba Hubbard, to have another guy on the roster.
The Chuba missile crisis.
Yeah. Nice. And it was like,
Chris Berman.
This is cool. Everybody's like, oh, this is cool. And then all of a sudden, Chuba gets hurt. Rico's in. He starts playing well. They start running the ball. They start winning games. And now it's the thing.
This is an incredible tweet from Mike Renner. I think he's with PFF, covering the NFL for a while. He goes, Rico Dowdle is third in the NFL in rushing. His career path is unlike any I've seen at the running back position. Was South Carolina's second leading rusher his final season in 2019 behind Tavian Feaster. Undrafted free agent in 2020. Had only 7 total carries his first 3 seasons in the NFL. 7 total carries. For reference, he carried the ball 28 times against the Green Bay Packers on Sunday. 28. That's 4 times more than he had in his first 3 years combined. Didn't start a game until his 5th season in the NFL. Is the 33rd highest paid running back in the NFL. He's on a 1-year, $2.75 million deal.
Not for long.
Not for long, despite going for over 1,000 yards last season. Best story in the NFL right now from individual players?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's a lot of good stories. There's a lot of great stories. This one obviously has a local flair to it. But like you said, he ran for 1,000 last year for the Cowboys, and the Cowboys were like, all right, man.
Yeah.
It's nice.
See ya.
Yeah.
Mutually beneficial parting because the Cowboys' offense is not the reason why they're not.
That's correct.
Very good.
The Cowboys are playing well offensively. So, yes, it's working out for him. And he signed that 1-year deal, bet on himself, however you want to call it. And next year, he has to sign another deal, and it won't be for what he signed this year.
No, it'll be a little more than $2 million.
Yeah, yeah. Yesterday's price is not today's price.
That's what Rico Dowdle's going to start hearing.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to start hearing cha-ching, cha-ching. He's going to make a whole lot more money.
And that's good for him because that's a really awesome story of perseverance, sticking with it, all of those great things that you want to hear. And that's a really cool story for him.
You know who else made plays for the Panthers on Sunday too? J.C. Horn. J.C. Horn, one of the better corners in the NFL. 2 Gamecocks. If you look at both sides of the ball for the Panthers, and you're like, I can pick only one player on offense as the most impactful, one on defense as the most impactful. If you polled Panther fans, I think there's a good chance that you are getting Rico Dowdle on offense, J.C. Horn on defense as offensive and defensive MVPs, making this maybe the most Gamecock NFL team, but also one that is one of the more intriguing. Bam Martin Scott hanging around on special teams and playing well for the Panthers. But do we think they make the playoffs? If we're just looking at it right now, do we think they're good enough to make the playoffs? I find them to be a very interesting team.
Yeah, they're good enough to make the playoffs. I think they're good enough to make the playoffs because their foundation is running the ball, and that's something that you can replicate game after game, provided nobody gets injured, et cetera, et cetera. But everybody's on that same type of time.
That's the thing I really like about Rico, though. The Panthers' offensive line has been kind of littered with injuries. They had to use a lot of different offensive linemen against the Packers. But when I watched Rico on Sunday, he channeled like a Le'Veon Bell type deal where he was incredibly patient behind that offensive line unit. Was very patient. Let the hole open up, run right through it. Right? Once he finally allowed it to open up. I think he's seeing the field differently than even most NFL running backs because there's so many running backs in the league where their production is solely dependent on how good the run blocking unit is. I think Rico Dowdle's kind of in that upper class of it don't matter how elite an offensive line unit might be, he can have a replacement level run blocking unit and still be really productive.
Yeah, and the biggest thing that you know about the Panthers that we have not heard this year, David Tepper.
The best thing for David Tepper to be the owner of that franchise is to be quiet.
It's been the best thing. All through those first couple years, he did this. He threw a drink on somebody. He's doing this. He's pulling up to restaurants. He's doing all kinds of wild things like, man, hey, chill out. We know you're a billionaire, but let the football people handle it. And it seems that's what he's done to this point, and maybe that's been to his success.
And I'm not afraid to admit when I'm wrong. I hated the hire of Dave Canales when they made it. Because, he had a solid record with quarterbacks. As an offensive coordinator, I don't think he ever had a top, 13 offensive unit in the NFL. And I was like, well, this is a guy you hire because no one else wants to work for you. I will say Dave Canales has done a fantastic job, and a savvy coaching move helped him win that Packers game, because Greg Olsen talked about it in the broadcast a ton. When they had the coin toss, the Panthers elected to get the ball first, meaning they got to choose where on the field. I guess they receive or they start the second half. And Greg Olsen kept talking about how they chose, because the wind was blowing in one direction heavily. And he said, might not seem like a lot, but the Panthers electing to go this way, the certain way on the football field where the wind is going, can really help in a late game situation. And the wind played a factor. Bryce Young didn't pass the ball particularly well. Jordan Love threw the ball for 274 yards, but there were a lot of off-target throws. You look at some of the interceptions in that game, buddy, they were ugly. And I think maybe the wind might have had something to do with that. And the Panthers on the opposite side of the field missed an extra point where the wind played a little bit of a factor. Was not on that game-winning field goal, and it turns out that paid pretty big dividends. And I think I'm sold on Dave Canales as being a solid NFL head coach.
Yeah, and when you look, obviously things are going well now, but it seems as if he has the attention of the team. The team seems like they're building and growing, believing in what they have. It's a fun time to be a Panthers fan, which I didn't expect to be saying that at the beginning of this year.
Yeah. And then in terms of other Gamecocks helping teams in the NFC contend, the Seattle Seahawks, two of them. Ernest Jones having a really solid year. Nick Emmanwori, we heard the clip yesterday of Mike Tirico and Chris Collinsworth gushing over how good he's been this year for them and what type of prospect he was, which we already knew. But the Seattle Seahawks team, don't look now. That NFC West division, maybe the most fun race that we have so far after the first, 8-9 weeks of the season, or I guess 9 weeks. Because if you look at it, Seattle and Los Angeles, the Rams, are 6-2. The Niners are 6-3. So it's going to be tough to win that division. But if I'm looking at who maybe the most complete teams in football are right now, the Seattle Seahawks are in that top 3, I think. Darnold's playing incredibly well. They have a two-headed monster in the backfield in terms of being able to run the ball. They have a wide receiver who is leading the league in receiving yards in Jackson Smith and Jigba, looking like an all-pro this year. And defensively, you have the two Gamecocks, and Leonard Williams is having a resurgence at his position on the interior defensive line. There's just not a lot of things that they don't do really well. But do you think they're actually a threat to end up winning the NFC? Can we get a Colts-Seahawks Super Bowl? Or is that silly?
He's playing well. Because the question is, who do I believe in more, Sam Darnold or Daniel Jones?
A question 5 years ago would have gotten you laughed out of a building. 3 years ago would have gotten you laughed out of a building. Maybe 2.
Yeah, that's a heck of a question to ask. I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen.
But if I would have told you 3 years ago Sam Darnold would play against a team that is fresh off an NFC championship game in prime time on Sunday Night Football, complete his first 16 passes for 200-plus yards and multiple touchdowns, you wouldn't believe me.
No. Not the I'm seeing ghost guy. Not him.
No. Or I think most commonly known as the mononucleosis graphic. Sam Darnold out indefinitely, him pointing at the camera, and below it says mononucleosis. Still one of the funniest NFL graphics ever seen on a broadcast to this day. Oh, man. Good stuff right there. But coming up next, the early game morning meeting. The Gamecock men's basketball team had their season opener last night. And we'll tell you what the result was, and I have my evaluation. Spoiler alert, they're going to be fun, and I'll tell you why next.
an owned business. They're locally owned and right there in Lexington. And they did such great work for us. They helped us find out the right cabinetry that we needed, and they can help you as well. You don't have to completely remodel a bathroom or a kitchen. You can just replace a few things here and there. Maybe you want to replace some wire hanging racks in a closet. They can help you with that. Want to put some drawers in your pantry? I'm telling you, that's the best thing to do because then you don't find something from like 2018 in your pantry. You can do that as well. There's so many options to update your home. Visit chwcabinetry.com. Call them today at 803-520-6837. Tell them Jen sent you. CHW Cabinetry, passion from inspiration to installation. Still working that earlier slowdown, Clemson Road at Hard Scrabble. I-26 westbound there at I-126. The right lane is blocked, so be careful in that area. And as far as I-26 westbound between Augusta Highway and I-126, also slow down there, stop and go traffic, likely due to the earlier slowdown. So a couple of areas that you'll be mindful of this morning. And the forecast, though, man, it's looking great. 75 for the high today. It's going to be a little bit breezy. 73 tomorrow, 74 on Friday, 40 currently on the early game.
One of my favorite opening night or opening day sayings in any sport is that hope springs eternal. And this time last year, when the South Carolina men's basketball team had their season opener against North Florida, it felt doomed from the beginning.
Yeah, I remember coming in like, they did what? What happened? Oh, okay. All right.
Stunned watching that game and immediately knew we're one night into the season and you are way behind already. That hope was killed pretty quickly in the 24-25 season. But it's a new year. It's 25-26. And South Carolina's men's basketball team got their season started last night, and there's a lot of reason for optimism.
Good morning. Good morning. Repeat after me. Today will be an awesome day. Let's go. Good morning, great today. Today will be an awesome day.
Yeah.
Good morning, great today. Today will be an awesome day.
Especially since basketball season's back. Oh my God, I'm in my happy place. This is amazing. Won't be this excited again until March. It's going to be great. But if you're a Gamecock men's basketball fan, especially if you were at the game last night, solid showing for the first game. But there's a lot to be excited about. Final score, South Carolina 91, North Carolina A&T 72. Yes, the disclaimer, North Carolina A&T is a bad basketball team. Ken Pom has them at 355 out of 365 teams. Have them as one of the bottom 10 in Division I.
I have to adjust my basketball and football rankings, but I still know that's not good.
Not good. Yes, so just a disclaimer. We'll get that. We will address that, yes. However, you played some bad basketball teams in non-conference last year. You played a lot of games last year. You went up the season high in scoring was last season for any game for South Carolina. That would have been the 91-89 win over Clemson, which went to overtime. So this has been the most points you scored in a 40-minute basketball game since the year you went to the NCAA tournament, just 2 short years ago. Something to be excited about. Another thing to be excited about. You were 14 of 32 from 3. Hit 14 triples last night, including makes from Elijah Strong, Eli Ellis, Grant Polk, Chris Esendoku, Jordan Butler, Caden Norden Capich. Sorry, I read that backwards. Miles Studi, Michi Johnson, Kobe Knox. Count it, 9 players hit threes last night. And then a few players hit multiple threes. Capich hit 3. Studi hit 2. Michi hit 2. Knox hit 2. 4 players hit multiple three-pointers last night. And every single player that played last night, all 12 of them, Preston Thorne, recorded at least 1 assist.
So I hear that number. So I hear those numbers 14 to 32. The first number that strikes is 32. 32. They're going to take the 3 ball.
32 of the 63.
It's going to be a lot of this.
Uh-huh.
Do we have we haven't developed like signature celebrations yet? Does Eli have a signature thing that he does when he hits a 3? Is it a mellow deal or?
We need to bring back the mellow deal.
Mellow.
3 fingers, to the dome. We need to bring that back.
I'm looking for a lot of that because that can be a lot of fun. The anticipation of a 3-pointer going in is fun. But more importantly than the 32 that they took, they hit 14.
Yeah, I was told, the one thing I was told definitively about people around the program during practices, this team can shoot. And I was like, I'll believe it when I see it. I mean, a lot of the players they brought in, like Elijah Strong, Norden Capich, Kobe Knox, Mike Sharyamps, a lot of those guys would shoot a lot of threes in their previous stops, but weren't making an incredibly high percentage, right? Not like an elite percentage. So I'm like, okay, you might have some good shooters. But when you make 43.8% from 3 in the first game, and for those who maybe aren't familiar with the percentages as much, you hit more than 35, 36% in a game, you're in a really good spot. The average college basketball team last year made 33.8% of their threes. Well above average, right? If you're able to do that consistently, because they're going to hunt them. Like the one thing I noticed about the offense last night, they were hunting 3-point shots a lot in that game. and they did a really good job of hunting those three-point shots. They passed the ball really well. Eli Ellis passed the ball really well. People a lot of times get enamored with his scoring ability from like a lot of the highlight tapes, but he led the team in assists last night with 5. And one thing I noticed that I really liked about him is his ability to make plays when he draws extra defenders. He utilizes a pump fake really well. He puts the ball on the deck, and whenever he draws a second person, or what coaches would call putting 2 on the ball, he finds that open man. And when he finds the guy maybe in the corner, he might get that hockey assist, which Colin Murray Boyles is fantastic at, where they make one extra pass and you get an open shot. Last year, they did that a lot. They just didn't make a lot of them, right? They were not a good three-point shooting team last year. I think that's what hurt them in a ton of games. This year, they have guys that can make that shot. I don't think they're going to be as good defensively as the teams have been the last few years, but this may be, just based off one game, based off what they did against NC State too, because I think NC State will defend the ball at a high, or defend at a high level. But this has the potential to be one of the better offensive teams that Lamont has had if this starts to carry over. Again, it's one game against one of the worst teams in Division I, so I just want that disclaimer out there. I'm not trying to be a party pooper, but I like what I saw in a lot of areas last night. And going to AAA, not AAA, your phone lines, that's for our phone. The Firehouse Subs text line. One texter says, the basketball team has depth, real depth. Clean up the turnovers, and I'm still beating that drum. This is a tournament team. Go Cox. I do at least certainly believe in their depth because they played a lot of guys. It's a deep rotation, right? Again, they played 12 guys.
All right, which drum are you beating? Is it like the bass drum? Boom, boom, boom. Or is it like a snare?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, are you beating the snare drum or are you beating the bass drum? And either one is cool. Either one is cool, but I need to know, Texter, which one are you really banging here? Because those are two different banging the drums.
That's how aggressive. Yeah. Or boom, 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 boom. One texter says, is Cam Scott not on the team anymore? He is on the team. He is redshirting this year. So that was another piece of news last night. Cam Scott and EJ Walker are redshirting this season. So don't expect them. Now, again, they can, if an injury happens and they need to pull the red shirt off, they will. But as of right now, the plan is to redshirt. Now, we did get a response on the text line. He says, light snare.
I like it. It's cool.
That's fine. Yeah, that's good.
Light snare.
It's still a drum. You're still beating the drum.
Light snare, not with the sticks, but with the little fan stick.
Oh. like what I call like the coffee house drum or the coffee shop drums.
Like
kind of a
jazz.
hi-hat.
Yeah, like a little hi-hat. Just you might, but listen. After the first game last year, the drum set was thrown out of the house. Get those drums out of here because there was no chance last year after the first game. So this is really fun to watch. And I think what's also important is you're seeing Lamont adapt his coaching style to what he feels like this could be the strength or a path towards victory for this team. And I think that's really cool to see.
Because, yeah, that's the one thing that I think was established last night. Because, look, whether or not this works in the SEC, I think is still TBD, right? Because you're going to play teams a lot better than North Carolina A&T that shoot the ball a lot better, that drive the ball a lot better, that rebound the ball a lot better, that defend a whole lot better. So it's still to be seen, right? But I do like the pathway that if you're a team that's going to be an underdog in a lot of the games you play and in conference play, the thing about winning as an underdog, one of the most successful formulas when you see upsets in March, teams that shoot the three ball really well and play low possession games. Now, last night they played about 70 possessions, which is high for a Lamont Paris coach basketball team. But if the possessions are low and you shoot a high volume of threes and you make at least 35% of them, you will have a chance in a lot of games. And there's not going to be a ton of games where you're getting blown out, right?
Which was two problems with the team last year because it felt like once they got behind, they just didn't have enough scoring to catch up. And then there was the blowout situation because, again, the scoring – Once they got there, they were not able to score.
They were not geared to be able to engineer those comebacks. So they play low scoring.
Pressing it for our friends at Integrated Media. Listen, we've been telling you all the time that you need to get yourself ready. Now the season is in full swing. You missed the sports equinox, but that's okay. There's still plenty of ball to watch, and there's basketball, and there's football, and there's hockey, and you can have all that set up with the folks from Integrated Media. You can get Samsung Terrace TVs that are waterproof, Sonos outdoor speakers for TV and music, Wi-Fi that works indoors and outdoors. That's the most important one to me, because now you can have all your devices playing at the same time. You don't have to experience that general lag time that comes from playing all of these different sports at the same time. So from home theater setup to adjusting your thermostat or monitoring your security systems from your cell phone, Integrated Media is the company that you need to call. Call Nathan and Michael at 803-948-8327. That's 803-948-8327. Or reach them online at integratedmediainc.com.
Clemson Road at Hardscrabble, an accident there. Be mindful of that if you would. Also, Highway 1, if you're heading towards Columbia in front of Barnyard Flea Market, there's an accident in the right lane, so do stay left. Again, that's Highway 1 inbound at around Barnyard Flea Market. Going to need to stay left. Appreciate the call about that. We are looking for a high today of 75, and we're looking for mid-70s through Sunday. And then, again, we hit the brakes on this really nice weather. By next Monday, we're going to be at 53, overnight low of 30. So start looking for those warmer jackets. But currently we are sitting at 40 on the early game.
Before we give out our Denny Green Awards for the week, we'll go to the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. We'll get to Cade, who's got an offensive coordinator suggestion, which we'll be taking. There is a vacancy, and we love suggestions. Cade, good morning. Welcome to the early game.
What's up, guys? How are y'all?
Pretty good, brother. You doing all right?
Yeah, chilly, but good morning, Jen, as well.
Oh, see, I love chili. I love coming in here with a hoodie on.
Oh, I love chili. Beans and meat. Oh, not that kind of chili.
Hey, I thought I'd switch it up from college basketball to football for a minute. Was thinking, when offensive coordinator, I was thinking maybe, if we have the money, I know it might be, a hot take and a long shot, but why not go get Billy Napier?
Clicks pen. I'm going to write down Billy Napier. And it's interesting. I think Billy Napier, I think the one thing that might not make that work, only because I think he's probably in the market for a head coaching job in the G5 where he is incredibly successful. And he might get paid more in that position, depending on the school that would hire him, than he would make here because, Mike Shula is making a smidge over $1 million this season, I think, Preston?
1.4.
I think his buyout was like 3.2.
Yeah, and he had 3 years on said deal. So there was a buyout involved there. But it's an interesting thought. I need to let that one simmer a little bit. But
you have my attention. I will say that.
Attention.
You have my attention. And I'll say this. Billy Napier trying to get the South Carolina passport. He already has the Clemson stamp.
He does.
He has the Furman stamp. He has the South Carolina State stamp. Is he just trying to fill up his passport book?
Well, I mean, also with that, if we didn't get Beamer, we were a 95% chance of getting Billy Napier as our coach anyway.
Napier was on the wish list. From what I understand of that situation, yes, Napier was definitely on the wish list.
If it wasn't Beamer, it was Napier. Just imagine what we'd be at right now if it was Billy Napier instead of Beamer. Would he be fired by now or,
It's a good question. Appreciate the call, Cade. I think when I think about the Napier-Beamer thing, or at least notice the Napier-Florida thing, I think that one didn't work because Napier wasn't the best fit at Florida. I still think Billy Napier's a really good coach. What he did at Louisiana was mightily impressive. He had them as a team that if there was a 12-team college football playoff back when he was coaching at Louisiana, probably would have gotten them in a couple times. He is a really good builder of programs. And maybe that's not what you need at Florida. Maybe that shtick doesn't work at a place with that much pedigree and that many resources. I still believe in Billy Napier as a coach at a different level. Some coaches are just geared to be really good coaches at a group of 5 level or maybe a lower level power 4 where they are simply just builders. I think I put Billy Napier in that category specifically. But would he get a Denny Green Award, Preston Thorne, for they are who we thought they were?
Boring, yes. He is who we thought he was. We knew he was boring Billy. Some people would call him Sunbelt Billy. And so his detractors, that's a derogatory term, but he may embrace that. Yes, I am Sunbelt Billy, and I win in the Sunbelt. That's what I do.
I'll come to your fancy stadium, and you're going to pay me $1.5 million to show up, and we're going to beat you. They did that a few times.
It's not a bad look.
It's not a bad look at all.
So, yeah, some people might consider him Sunbelt Billy.
So now while we give our Denny Green Awards for they are who we thought they were, I want to keep it in the state of Florida. And I hope I don't steal your thunder here. Because Mario Cristobal, buddy, you have more talent on this team than maybe you've ever had at Miami. You have built the talent, right? You have done if you build it, They will come. You have an offensive tackle who is going to be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. You spent $4 million. You basically reset the transfer quarterback market to bring in Carson Beck. You have maybe the best defensive player in college football on the other side of the line of scrimmage with Reuben Bain. You have the pieces in place. But now you have 2 losses to teams that you are favored to beat by 16.5 and 12.5 points, respectively. And you're not going to beat the humidity merchant allegations because the millisecond you left the state of Florida to play a football game, which the fact that it was on November 1st is wild to me, but they finally left the state of Florida to play a football game. They go to Dallas and forget how to play football and forget how to not hit the quarterback late. SMU only stayed alive because of a roughing the passer penalty, which was egregious. And Mario Cristobal's complaint was that this player didn't hear the whistle. Sorry, buddy, not a proper defense for hitting the quarterback late. I can't hit somebody late after play and say, sorry, ref, didn't hear it.
Didn't know I couldn't do that.
Didn't know I couldn't do that. Ignorance is not a defense.
That's correct.
It's not.
That is correct.
So you can't complain about the call. He hit the quarterback late. And it's that lack of discipline. Game
lacks authenticity. He made us make appointments. He didn't know my name.
Oh, that's my favorite one. You don't care enough to know certain players' names, and
I will report.
Yeah.
I will report. I played for Lou Holtz, and in fact, he may have forgotten our names. He may have said the wrong names, but he knew who we were, right?
Okay,
He just might have called us the wrong thing because, age, it happens, right?
Yeah.
Right.
There's a lot of people. My mom would go through that.
Exactly. The way your parents just call the wrong kid sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like, Corey Preston, what one of you?
Yeah.
Get over here.
I've got that
get
so
on
many
the line.
times.
Yeah, but you know exactly. You know who it is. The reports say that Brian Kelly did not know the players' names. He lacked authenticity from the players. But here's my favorite nugget that I read. Brian Kelly was aware of this, and so he went to a D.C.-based image consultant to help him with his public persona.
And let me guess, LSU paid for it.
I bet he didn't.
Oh, my God.
And you know what? We knew he lacked authenticity from day one when he tried to fake a Cajun accent.
I like authenticity. Let me go to an image consultant from Washington, D.C.
Truly.
Why don't you pay me $100,000 to tell you not to fake the accent, right? Why
right
can't someone
there.
pay me that much money to do something so simple? How dumb.
How? Oh, my God.
You know, those D.C. image-based consultants are known for their authenticity.
Oh, without
Yes.
question.
Because nothing says more likable than DC consultants. Nothing says I am authentic
Wow.
than paying people to show me how to be authentic.
Am I authentic now? What about now?
What about now? Is this authentic to you?
My,
I hadn't even won all my games yet. I'm here with my family. He walks out of the court. So did my Forrest Gump work? Did that work?
right.
On the plane over, I watched 3 hours.
And the DC consultant's like, yeah, you nailed it.
Oh, that was
Great job.
Absolutely.
Ka-ching, ka-ching.
Throw a life ain't nothing but a box of chocolates in there. Life's like a box of chocolates. And then you know what? You've got it. You've got it.
I wonder how long he actually went to the image consultant.
That's a great question. And I mean, if he was going to do that, I mean, you could obviously just go get a Louisiana-based image consultant. That might help. I don't know if that's.
I think that might resonate more with the
might help.
Louisianians.
Yeah, it might help. So yeah, Brian Kelly, you are who I thought you are.
Oh man, for those type of offenses, Brian Kelly needs to get on the line, but he is not the only one because we'll put folks on the line coming up next. Brian Kelly went to a DC consultant firm to fix his image. I think that's a bad move, and it clearly did.
Hey, let's just go and get on the line right now, man.
My patience is running thin. You're all running out of time. You was late to my practice, sir? Everybody on the line.
Come on.
Everybody on the line.
Oh, I got some.
And you know what? You know what Saturday night was? That was everybody on the line
Coach.
type of night.
You coach?
All coaches, grad assistants, you two. Oh, managers, even you. This is a team effort.
Guys jumping, waving the towels. You too.
You too.
Whoever. Anybody can get it this time, for sure.
I'll exclude the janitors, though. You're cool.
Yeah, because you keep things nice around here. I'm ready. You ready?
Right, I am. And I want to start with the first thing I thought of.
Go ahead.
The special teams unit. Dog. That might have been the most egregious give up of a fake punt. Like the most no-brainer decision. Even if that wasn't something they were looking for, if you're the punter and you see the back nameplate of every single player on the opposing team, yeah, I'm going to run and pick up 20 yards. Like, maybe that's something Ole Miss saw on film. Maybe. And if so, credit to them. But that was one of those plays you probably don't even need to see anything on the film. Everybody turned their back to the ball. Homeboy could have skipped his way to a first down.
Mm-hmm.
And even at full speed as a punter, no one's going to mistake him for Usain Bolt. That's how much green grass he had to make the first down easily on that fake punt. So for the entire special teams unit on that play,
get on the line. I'd like to add onto that special teams unit, you're not running by yourselves. Because Joe D, come here.
Uh-oh.
Shane, come here. We are supposed to be Beamer Ball, and we got Beamer Balled. It's not supposed to happen to us. We're supposed to do it to them.
We're supposed to be the perpetrators, not the victims.
Yeah, we're the victims of Beamer Ball. We got balled, Beamer Balled. Joe D, Shane, come here. Get on the line.
Oh, man. Yeah, definitely worthy of getting on the line. Offensive line. Sorry, you've been on the line a lot this year. But everybody on one specific play.
Oh, yeah.
Giving up a sack when the opposing team is rushing 2 and you have 5.
Let's do some math.
2 versus 5. You have more than double the amount of players that they are rushing for you to protect your quarterback. It did not happen. And Lenore Sellers gets sacked. And if you're Ole Miss, you're celebrating that play like you're the 300 Spartans.
Mm-hmm.
In the Battle of Thermopylae.
Mm-hmm.
Except this time you were victorious.
Mm-hmm.
So for the offensive line unit, giving up a sack when Ole Miss rushed 2.
Get on the line. Joe D, come here.
Oh, again.
We're not finished. We muffed the punt.
Oh, yeah.
We muffed the punt. Gave them the ball back after we gave them the stop. Joe D, get on the line. I'll stay here with this theme. I will continue with this theme, but we'll move over to the NFL. Rise up because we rose up and we rose down.
God.
Parker Romo, I know you no longer have a job because you just got waived, because you had just taken over the job for Young Hoo Koo, my bad, who you got waived.
Did you wave back?
He did not wave back. Falcons kickers, get on the line. I'm sick of it.
That's what their job is now.
I didn't know that this was my fate, that I was going to walk into terrible special teams. But last weekend, the special teams weekend for your boy was pitiful. So there's a theme in my get on the lines.
I gotta put my people over here from my home state of Tennessee. All of you that have been on Twitter and have demanded that Josh Heupel go. I saw a lot. I know it's not a reflection of an entire fan base, but I saw way too many tweets that Josh Heupel's got to go. Buddy, do you remember what it was like before that? That's a fan base that experienced 15 years of total futility. You've got 2 10-win seasons.
They
in the
don't
last
remember
3
the Derek
years.
Dooley era, do they?
No. They have the memory of goldfish now and expect to win national championships. You're still 6-3. You can finish the season 9-3. So for them, get on the line. 3rd and long hour coming up next.
Now I can get my Sam Darnold one off.
Yes, and then it goes to me, and then I have to be like, okay, Dan Orlovsky, and the next person has to go in that order. Oh, right. So much fun.
All right.
I'm telling you, 8 hours of that. Any other person who does not like sports would have jumped out of the moving vehicle. But for Would You Rather, I'll pose you this first one, Preston Thorne. With the Bills beating the Chiefs on Sunday and having a better record than the Chiefs, puts them in an interesting spot right now. But if you're a fan of an AFC playoff team, who would you rather face on the road in the playoffs?
Okay, I like this. On the road, in the playoffs, both places are going to be extremely cold.
Yes.
So take the weather out, even though there might be a chance of more snow in Buffalo. But
it's a wash there.
It's a wash there. Man, give me Buffalo, man. I still rather play Josh Allen.
Okay.
He's awesome. MVP, all of that. I just don't want to see Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs.
Yeah. I think this specific question is like the good stress test on where you think the Chiefs are as a dynasty right now, because clearly record's worse than the Bills. They lost the Bills head to head, but it's still the regular season, and we've kind of seen this before. Mm-hmm. But do you still buy into the dynastic element of them to where you'd still rather see the Bills in the playoffs?
I still would rather see the Bills than the Chiefs, especially late in the playoffs.
Now we get to disappointing NFC teams. Who would you rather be? The Dallas Cowboys or the Washington Commanders?
I'd rather be the Cowboys because I'm used to this. Shout out to all my Cowboys fans, but listen, man, we know what's up. We've been here. The Commanders had so much hope, hype. You could see the light in their eyes. They finally had a quarterback. Things were changing, and now maybe they're not. And so just for having that glimmer of hope that you thought you had, I'd rather be the Cowboys. Cowboys fans, we're used to dealing with disappointment.
So I think the one thing that make this one an interesting one is if you're a Commanders fan, can you just chalk it up to injury? Because Jaden Daniels got hurt before, and you're not going to see him the rest of the year this year. That was a pretty gruesome injury.
Did we want to put Dan Quinn on the line for keeping Jaden Daniels in the game down by 31 in the fourth quarter?
It was, I think we should. Dan Quinn, get on the line. Oh, I hated that. Oh, that was bad. That was like a reverse Boobie Miles where you got hurt down a lot of points with your star player still in the game. Now here's one. Surprising division leaders category. Would you rather have Drake May or Bo Nix lead your team through the postseason? Your face says it all right now.
I just can't ever get used to the idea that Bo Nix is actually in legit quarterback conversation.
He's good.
And he's good, man. Good. I can't do that.
Is it the Auburn thing still?
Yes.
Is it still
it's still me being, if I was just NFL fan, then I'd be like, yeah, Bo Nix.
You'd be like, oh, this gets the real deal.
This is the thing. But I'm a college football fan, and so I've seen that whole story play out. I saw Drake May underachieve at North Carolina, though he was very good and all that stuff. That being said, give me Bo Nix.
Okay.
Give me Bo Nix and Sean Payton.
And Sean Payton. Yeah, I think that's a big caveat, too. I like Bo Nix as an NFL quarterback. I think he is as accurate as advertised. I think the one thing that would make me go Bo Nix is the fact that he does have Sean Payton. Sean Payton has done this.
Vrabel, I think, is very good, too, but Vrabel's in the playoffs.
He's had some stinkers.
Yes.
He's pulled some upsets. I was working in Nashville covering that team when they upset the Patriots on the road and then upset number 1 seeded Baltimore on the road, where that game wasn't particularly close. Longest post-game call-in show I've ever had. We went until like 1:30 that morning. That one was a lot of fun. But Vrabel has also lost games in the playoffs where he was a favorite. Here's a fun one. Preston Thorne, there are 5 6-win teams in the NFC. Which one of them would you rather be between the Eagles, the Buccaneers, Seahawks, Rams, 49ers?
Let's eliminate the Eagles.
Okay, eliminate the Eagles. Sorry, Don.
Let's eliminate the Eagles. Let's eliminate the Buccaneers.
Mama Thorne's not going to. She can approve of that.
We do have a development.
Baker's growing on her a little bit.
She gave him a my boy.
Oh, no, that's way more than a
And I
development.
said, who are you talking about?
He went from being
The Baker boy.
kind of good
She
to
went to from the Baker boy to my boy. So I don't know. We must.
I've done the same thing with Kurt Signetti. I feel you. I feel you.
We'll check back
We've been
in.
there.
Give me, because of playoff record, and I guess just my belief in him and their ability to stay around. Give me the Rams.
Okay. Going with the Rams. And I think that's totally fair. And I think Stafford's one of those players that you can certainly believe in. Last one. Preston, your Falcons are 17th in the NFL in stop rate. Defense has to improve. Old enough to remember giving up 34 points to the lifeless Dolphins. Mm-hmm. But if you could pick one of these three players to shore up the edge rush, who would you rather have? Myles Garrett, Micah Parsons, or Aiden Hutchinson?
Ooh.
Who just signed the largest non-quarterback deal in the history of the NFL.
Give me Myles Garrett.
I think so, too.
Give me Myles. Micah's obviously awesome, and Aiden is really on his way. He's on his way, and he's really good.
Fast ascension.
Yes, he's awesome. He's everything that we thought he was going to be. But give me Myles, just because I think Myles provides a little bit more in the run game than maybe Micah will, and Myles wants to win. Even though he said he wanted to win, and then he threw a bunch of money in his face, and he's like,
I think I'd rather have this money too. Yeah, everybody's got a number.
Yes, it's one of those things where unfortunately they hit his number. He's like, "Don't make me do this."
Oh, he's like, you made me really think about this, didn't you?
Come on, I said I was gonna leave, and they gave him a bag of money, and they said, "No, you're not." He said, "No, I'm not."
Yeah, on second thought, when you give me this contract.
But all three of those dudes are really good, and unfortunately, Myles will not have an opportunity to show how good he is late in the season because the Browns.
Favorite player to watch on all 22 footage? I think mine's Myles Garrett.
Aiden is really fun though.
But Aiden's good.
Aiden's really fun, and that's really cool. He's coming off an injury. He's sort of exactly who we hoped he would be. So he's fun to watch also.
We'll be taking offensive coordinator recommendations because there's a vacancy here at South Carolina. We'll dive into that next. Oh man, visiting season. It's here. We are less than a month. We're in the month of November, which means Thanksgiving's coming around. And my friends over at Zero Res Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning want to thank you this Thanksgiving with their fall seal because they understand. Right? It's been a long year, and your house has seen it all. I know mine has definitely seen it all. So it's time to give your house that refresh before the holiday season because, again, it's coming faster than you realize. And here's that fall deal, right? Mention my name, Elijah Campbell, 1075 The Game, and you can get $45 per room of carpet cleaned for an unlimited amount of rooms. And if you schedule 3 or more rooms, you can add on a hallway for just $1. There's nothing that's available for $1 nowadays. The dollar menu is not even $1. So take advantage of that deal today. Schedule online at zerorescolumbia.com.
Highway 1 inbound in front of the Barnyard Flea Market. Going to need to stay left as they work to finish cleaning up an earlier accident. Hardscrabble Road near Clemson. I-20 eastbound at Faro Road. Also I-20 eastbound at Bush River Road. And Two Notch Road at I-77. Have a slowdown there, so be careful. 75 for the high. Going to be a little bit on the breezy side today. Overnight low of 48. 73 tomorrow, sunny skies, and we just keep this pattern going through Sunday. So a great stretch of weather for us before it kind of falls out on Monday when it'll be 53 with an overnight low of 30. So we'll welcome this weather right now, currently 42.
All right. You like brainstorming, Preston Thorne?
Love it. One of my favorite things. Because there's no bad ideas.
Yeah.
Right? We're taking on ideas here.
And we're doing that for the Gamecock vacant offensive coordinator position, right? We have endless amounts of possibilities. Not just the wide range of possibilities, but there's an elevated importance to this because this is the biggest hire Shane Beamer is going to have to make in his tenure as the head coach at South Carolina. Now, you could also say this is a prove-it hire to prove that you can get a little bit of stability at that position. We're getting ready to go into next season. Will be year 3 with a different offensive coordinator. Now, Loggins had 2, but then in 24 it was Loggins, 25 Shula, 26 TBD. So, Preston Thorne, we've laid out some criteria yesterday of the type of offensive coordinator we'd like to see. In terms of prototype, have you made a decision on which one you would prefer to have in terms of placement, like in terms of where they're at right now at the level they're calling plays at, history of play calling? If you had to at least describe your ideal candidate, what exactly do they look like on paper?
My ideal candidate maybe is somebody in the mold of, and I know this is going to be difficult to do, but somebody in the mold of a Clayton White, somebody who's young, and not even young. I don't want to. Let me not put an age on it. Somebody who's up and coming, somebody who's been successful at various levels, even lower levels. Somebody has a very clear identity on what they want to do, who they want to be, and somebody who sees this job as a potential step up. Not a step back or a saving grace or a fall net. It's a step up for their career. I'm okay with that. I know that might be a very difficult choice to make right here because you feel you have to get it right and you want to be soothed by a name or the SEC experience or whatever the case is. I get that. But I'm okay with going with somebody who's on the come up.
Which is exactly why, and I'm the same way, right? Which is exactly why I wouldn't get too bent out of shape if it's not a big name. Sometimes the big name isn't the answer, right? Especially considering the position you're in as a program right now where the quarterback is not going to be back. You're going to have to go quarterback hunting or stay with Cutter Woods. One of the two, right? There's going to be a change at quarterback as the starter regardless. You're coming off of a year where you are either 5-7 or 4-8. And there might be some instability concerns. But if you succeed, then you can create your own stability in the SEC, right? Which is why, and I wouldn't want the vaunted former head coach turned offensive coordinator lurking over Shane's shoulder.
Exactly.
We've seen instances where that has not worked at all, right? Sam Pittman at Arkansas, they brought in Bobby Petrino. Petrino was the Grim Reaper. Oh, yeah, they did the same thing at Texas A&M, where Petrino was the Grim Reaper looking over the shoulder of the current head coach, right? The last thing you want to see if you're a head coach is Bobby Petrino getting brought in to be the offensive coordinator because he will inevitably be the interim head coach at some point in the season.
Right.
Which is why I'd like to exclude a Bobby Petrino, a Gus Malzahn, a Hugh Freeze, because I've seen those names, whether it be on the text line, Twitter, all that type of stuff, the things, where you look to get the pulse of the fan base. I would exclude those guys. I'm kind of looking in the mold of G5, which is why maybe somebody like Jordan Davis at North Texas would be a bigger risk, because I don't know exactly what his play calling acumen has been, because I believe Eric Morris is the one calling the plays over there. But maybe somebody in the mold of a Brennan Marion, who is the head coach at Sacramento State. The move up to coordinator in the SEC would be big, because Sacramento State's still attempting to get into the FBS. They'll be an FCS team for at least another couple of years, I can believe. They're trying to make that jump. But if you're Brennan Marion, an offensive coordinator job in the SEC can propel you to a much larger gig, and that's a very unique offense. If you've never heard of the go-go offense, there are plenty of YouTube videos that break it down. It's what he ran at UNLV last year, and what made UNLV the second best group of 5 team in college football and put them a game away from making the college football playoff. It was an innovative, fun offense that is unique and hard to defend against. That is kind of the mold that I'm really attracted to when it comes to brainstorming the type of OC they can get.
Innovative, fun college offense. I think that's my biggest criteria. Don't. If you walk in this room talking NFL, you can just keep walking.
Yeah, and another thing we can exclude.
That's a big criteria for me. So let me read somebody really quickly. If I was to say, hey, we're going to hire the OC, the next OC we're hire, he's going to have been the OC at Arkansas State. He's going to be the OC at Southern Miss, and he's going to be a quality control at the University of Georgia. People would be like, I don't know. So Arkansas State, Southern Miss, I don't know. Well, that would be Buster Faulkner.
Ooh.
The OC at Georgia Tech, right?
Uh-huh.
So he's somebody who fits in that mold, somebody who's called plays at a high level, right? Because contrary to popular belief, I know we sit on our SEC perch here, but FBS balls too. FBS has pressure too. FCS has these things that you need people to be able to do. So somebody along these lines, and I'm not saying him, but somebody along those lines I would be okay with. And as I say it again, it's very difficult to pull that type of conversation now because we're so tense, and I feel like a name would soothe everybody. But I personally don't need that. I just need somebody who's done it before and has a unique way of doing it.
I would like a track record of a lot of success at that level. That's a duh, right? But sometimes when you go for name, recent track record doesn't go into account for it. That's the biggest reason why I think Auburn deciding to hire Hugh Freeze as their head coach was a colossal failure from the jump, because they were banking on results that happened a decade ago, right? He was hired because he beat Alabama twice a decade before making that hire. Recent success and somebody who is young and up and coming, which is kind of why when I look at potential candidates, guys who are in the mold of offensive coordinator Kevin Decker at Old Dominion, where the team puts up a lot of points and they're 200-plus yards per game in passing, 200-plus yards a game in rushing. You've shown that you're not a one-trick pony either. You can create a balanced offense in a true sense, where a lot of guys are getting the ball. You're able to run the ball well, pass the ball well, and it makes teams hard to defend against you. I think that's a big thing to look at too. That's why I'm kind of attracted to him as an option.
Somebody, and this will kind of be 2 points here. Somebody in the text line brought up Billy Napier, and I said, "Oh, you have my attention." But he's a head coach, and you kind of don't know where he has for his particular career aspirations. Another mold, not the person, but another mold, Jamie Chadwell, right? The mold of him. Obviously, he's a head coach now. Obviously, there were conversations about him being up for this job, so you don't know how that would play out. But the mold of somebody who's been successful at lower levels, runs a very unique, fun brand of offense that he would bring with him. Not him, but in that mold, I'd be cool with.
So those are our brainstorming. We'll take a lot of other brainstorming ideas.
No bad ideas.
No
Bring
such thing as a bad idea.
Except NFL.
Yes.
That's the only bad idea.
We'll make that the one disqualifier. All right. I don't want Ken Wisenhut's name being brought up in this.
Norv Turner.
Oh yeah. Those we can go ahead and disqualify, but no bad ideas. All suggestions are winners. We'll give you our winners for today's show, brought to you by Golden Spur, coming up next.
Winners.
And our winners every morning here in the final segment of the show, brought to you by Golden Spur. I do love chicken.
Sir,
I affirm. Big fried chicken guy. So highly recommend Golden Spur. Thanks to them for bringing us this segment. My first winner, the 3-ball.
Ooh.
Because South Carolina last night hit 14 of them. One texter did remind me, because a lot of times when they hit the 3, I'm usually noting something. So I got my laptop up and I'm taking notes pretty feverishly throughout these games. So I sometimes I miss what they do. And I do, yes, reminded by a texter, they put like the 3 over their face, kind of like a 3-point mask.
Okay, all right. Ooh, like a masquerade?
Yeah.
Okay. I knew there got to be something. If we're going to shoot this many threes, hey, we got to do something.
You have to.
Okay.
Yes, you absolutely have
3
to.
in the vein. I like it.
I did not like the 2015 Kentucky team at all, but I will say, uniformed 3-point celebration with the 3 over the eye, the 3-point monocle.
Okay, all right.
That did go hard. I did like that a lot.
So it's the 3 over the face. That's what you think it is?
3 over the face.
All
Yeah.
right, I like it. I'm going to give a winner to somebody who's finally going to get the chance to become a winner. Sauce Gardner. You, sir, will get a chance to play winning football. I know you probably didn't want to leave. You got your apartment, you got your house, your life in New Jersey or wherever, New York to Indianapolis. Might be a downgrade in the nightlife. I get it.
I would say it is. Yep.
But you get a chance to play some winning football, sir. So congratulations. You got a life raft.
Buddy, you escaped the New York Jets, right? Like that sounds like a Netflix documentary about somebody escaping some type of imprisonment, right? Like I can imagine there's like a 6-part documentary series on Netflix called Escaping the New York Jets, and people just talk about how horrible it was. And how
Sauce,
awful
you will not be able to go out on a random Tuesday or Wednesday night. There is one steakhouse which everybody goes to in Indianapolis. Other than that, it's not going to be the same. I understand, but you have a chance to win football games.
Which leads me to my other winner, tanking. It's so back. The fire sale, right? I mean, on a scale of 1 to Florida Marlins after a World Series championship, this is like a good 8 for the Jets right now. You will not out-tank the New York Jets because not only they trade Sauce Gardner, they also traded Quinnen Williams too. And reports are that Breece Hall maybe on the move.
He should be. He should have been walking directly to whoever and say, hey, I need out also.
Yeah, where's my parachute?
Garrett Wilson, you too.
Yep. Yeah, where's mine? I got to get something here. But the Jets are definitely tearing it down to the studs. Tanking, definitely a winner.
Winner, the claw fence.
We got a claw fence mentioned on the show today.
What a great mention today.
Did.
That old school, that offense that Wake Forest used to be so frustrating for everybody because they would slow roll it, and you think that they're gonna run the inside zone, and then whoop, pass over the top, and then whoop, quarterback's gonna keep it. Whoop. It was so fun, man. The claw fence. It was slow.
Oh, they call it the slow mesh, but they wouldn't tell you with that name alone does not completely tell the full story because it was the slowest of meshes, right? You'll never see a mesh slower.
Wait. Whoop.
My favorite is when they're walking it to the line. There'll be a couple times where they're at the mesh point and they're taking slow steps to the line of scrimmage, and then the last second they pull it out and throw it. Like it was so much fun. Another winner that I have for today's show, optimism. Because I will say, I wasn't expecting any type of result from North Carolina A&T in that game to have a lot of optimism on like our YouTube stream, text line, Twitter feed. I see a lot of people actually excited about the brand of basketball. And that's a good thing. The brand of basketball that the men's team's playing, I think actually has some people excited. Maybe not as excited as you can be over a win against the Ken Pom 355th ranked team you could possibly have. But you know what? I think everybody can at least be on board, even if you are not a world beater in the SEC, of at least having a style of play that I think fans are attracted to. That is a winning proposition.
Building on that, winner for today, the snare drum. Because we're not banging the bass drum. We're not even quite the hi-hats. But there's a little bit of a drum that's being banged for this tournament team as a tournament team. We'll keep an eye on that. That might be a watch that we have.
A drum watch. Watch. I think after each game we should kind of elevate our drum watch.
Just see where the drums are.
A little bit, just to see how much harder we're banging the drum. If the drum gets even bigger, right? Because you can like slightly tap the snare drum. You can go a little bit harder on it, make the snare a little bit louder. in the headphones, but then you might have to graduate to a larger drum. So we'll be on drum watch throughout the year for this team. My last winner, the name game. I got so nostalgic in that last commercial break talking about the name game. Again, if you're going on a road trip anytime soon, holidays are coming up, I'm telling you, me and my friends once killed an 8-hour drive just naming dudes, but with some rules and regulations.
Rules and regulations are important because I confidently said Sam Darnold, and I was obviously wrong. Welcome to the show.
But you figured it out, right? That's what we figured it out. Highly love the name game. Oh, those are our winners brought to you by Golden Spur. You're a winner for hanging out with us. Tyler Head, Jack Veltri, the Extra Point, they're winners, and they're coming up next.